Welcome to our first installment of the Kiss podcast, brought to you by David from Middleton,
Jeffrey from Naperville North.
and today we're going to be talking about the Science Bowl League. So the main things we're going to talk about today is the race for 8th place, as it's a very close race right now between, what are the teams? It's like AIM, Dulles, Interlake, and I wouldn't say Middleton anymore because the games are really hard, but I still think we're in contention, but it's just not super in contention.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough path for Middleton since they have arguably the hardest remaining schedule out of the last few games.
Do you feel pretty safe about your chances of making top 8?
Yeah, I think Geo HS is positioned pretty well because we're playing BRMHS A and B, and I would say like they're definitely those two teams are definitely like not as strong as the other teams that a lot of the other schools are playing. And then our other two matchups, Langley and Lexington, I think we have a pretty good shot of winning those. And we have a pretty comfortable lead. So I would like to think that.
Yeah, it actually looks like you guys have the fourth easiest Final Four game schedule, so that's pretty nice. And that's behind ASFA A and Basis and BRMHSB.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a 3-game stretch of 46, 56, 28. What happened there?
So yeah, I think that was really important. But one of the games was against, I want to say one of the games against NoHo. Yeah, that game was pretty.
The 28 one was against NoHo.
Yeah, and that one was really cool because
I think that.
Yeah, we one NoHo is just like a really cracked team, but also I think we didn't convert a single bonus that game.
Damn. Do you remember the 46 one was? 'Cause I know the 56 one was against Middleton. That was like 56 against 62, I think.
Yeah, the 46 one was against Interlake. That was Danielson's birthday. I'd like to think I threw for his birthday, but like in reality, that was just a really bad game for me. And yeah, it was like I was negging all over the place. I was like missing toss-ups I should have gotten, and I was like just being slow.
I remember when the season started, Geo HS was pegged as like a locking for like top 4. I feel like a lot of people had like they put you up in contention with like NoHo, Mira, and Eastside, but I feel like since the first few weeks, I feel like Geo HS has kind of dropped into like a tier of teams outside of like those top teams. So for me personally, like when I'm looking at the teams, I've always kind of put them into like kind of like tiers, because you always have like you have your NoHo and Mira is what I would say as like the best teams, like they separate themselves as the best team so far, and then you have like Eastside Blazers, and then maybe Lex, maybe Geo, but I would honestly group Geo more towards like slightly lower than those teams. No offense.
Yeah, that's fair, because I think also like I think the other top teams just have better like subject coverage. I feel like
yeah,
because like for example for us, our chem and bio is covered by me, and like I mean I can get enough chem, especially if it's not Orgo, and I know some bio, but it's not consistent enough, and it's not like strong enough to really be like a strong contender. So like if I ever play like a really top team like against bio, like you can't really just give up a subject, like that's just too big of a disadvantage.
To be fair, originally you wanted to solo the tournament or the league.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So do you think that you guys would have done better or worse? Like, do you think you would have done top 8 if you were solo?
Probably, because I think most of my matches results would have been the same. Because like the games we won by a lot, I think, and the games we lost, well, if I'm losing people, I'm still gonna lose those games, right?
Well, you could argue that in the game against us, if you were soloing, you might have had a better chance.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. For those who don't know what I'm referencing to, it's what happened was during the first toss-up, it was an Earth and Space Science question, and I believe Sanjay got it right. But he buzzed in pretty late in the question, and then the bonus ran over, and I don't think we got the bonus. But then the second toss-up was a math toss-up, and like halfway through the question, Deadbird buzzes. And then he either negged or he got called for a stall, but either way, they lost 4 points, and then we had a free math toss-up and a free math bonus. But what happened is that Deadbird actually buzzed on the first toss-up, and because of the lag that he had, the buzz went through on the second toss-up. And because it took him so long to like relay this information, our moderator couldn't really like retroactively like take back the points or whatever. So basically like that game was kind of, because we only ended up losing by 6 points. So like those 14 points, well, like not even 14 points, those 8 points would have mattered.
Yeah, we just got the toss-up.
That was a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the nice thing about playoffs though is that it's just like all a big reset. Like that's the way I view it. Like, yeah. And look, I mean, as long as we don't get the 8th seed and play no whole first round, you know, I think we have a pretty good shot of doing well at playoffs.
Yeah, the race for 8th place is pretty tight. Interlake is around 80 points behind Dulles, so if Dulles loses their game, let me quickly pull up the schedule. But if Dulles loses their game, Interlake can definitely pull up. Wait, no, this is round 11. Didn't Dulles just destroy the fuck out of whatever the other team was? You remember who they just played?
Yeah, Dulles just played CCA and scored 186 points in round 12, so they're gonna get a big.
Yeah. Okay, do you know? Wait, do you know who Interlake is? Let me check who Interlake.
Yeah, we can pull up the schedule, but I think those. Do Dulles and Interlake have like comparable schedule difficulties remaining?
Let's see. Dulles and Interlake. Dulles has a schedule difficulty of 36, which is 22nd in the league, and then Interlake has a schedule difficulty of 46, which is 15th in the league now. It looks like Interlake is playing Stockdale, which, let's see, Interlake against Stockdale. I would say Stockdale wins chem, but they lose math and physics. I don't know about their bio players for each team.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at some stats. I mean, Alore's not a. Oh, wait, Alore doesn't. Never mind. Wait, I think Alore's supposed to get math. He's supposed to be a math and physics player, right? But like his stats show that he's not very consistent at those subjects. Yeah, he has, for example, 10 math toss-ups, correct, which is pretty good. But then he also has 6 -4s in that category as well. So.
Okay. So it looks like Dulles is playing Ladue Blue, and then they're all playing Ladue Blue, then playing Interlake. Oh, that game will be a big decider. Dulles is playing Interlake in match 14.
Oh.
So I think that game will be very important, as well as the Middleton versus Ames game. If Middleton wins that game, I can see possibly Interlake sliding into 8th, and maybe Dulles also sliding into 7th. But again, like the race for 8th place is more of a race to get destroyed by NoHo, more or less.
Yeah, but making playoffs is still going to be really nice.
Yeah.
Is the format? The format's a single elimination, right?
It's just a single elimination, so it's the seeding will actually matter quite a bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, like the 2, 3, 6, and 7 seed should be on the opposite side of the bracket from NoHo, for example. So like, I would expect those teams, like those, yeah. So I would expect the 4, 5, and 8 seeds would probably do worse.
If the season ended today, you guys will be playing Eastside in the playoffs. How do you think your chances are against Eastside?
Yeah, I think our chances are. I think it would be a really competitive game. I think that, like, we would definitely go back and forth on a lot of math toss-ups, a lot of physics toss-ups, and I think for chem, I think that Bill definitely knows a lot more. He knows more chem than me. So it's all going to really come down to, like, for chem, it's going to come down to, like, how much Orgo there is, and, like, how much, and just, like, what kind of topics the questions hit on. Like, is this something I know already? Is it something I, like, learned in AP Chem? But I think, and then ESS, you know, I just have to trust Mason and Deadbird. I think our Astro is, like, comparatively weak. And I don't know how much Astro they know, so it's all going to depend on how much is up.
It also does look like Dilla is 3rd place for ESS throughout the tournament right now, which is pretty scary.
Yeah, but I mean, Mason is like 8th place. While also splitting ESS with me and Deadbird. So
Uh, where are you? And where is Deadbird is 26. Well, like 26, except there's a bunch of people named Bonus and like stuff like that.
Yeah. So
And then Jeffrey is 37, but with like 2 bonuses.
yeah, so if you combine our PPG, we add up to like 6.1. If you add our PPG combined, it would be higher than Bill's. But I'm also, yeah.
Okay.
So I think, yeah.
But I'm not. I don't know how good of a metric that would be though, because if you're just adding PPGs like that, what are the flaws in a metric like that?
The flaws would be.
I guess like if it's a buzzer race, well I guess that doesn't matter because if it's a buzzer race between your team.
Yeah, well, the flaw would be you're
then
not
the total
adding it
PPG for your
for
team
east
wouldn't-
side. Because
that's well. Is anyone else?
probably, I mean,
Farvo?
I think a Farvo would be their other like main scorer. And
Oh, Tharva has gotten a few ESS.
yeah, so if you add
few
those
SB2.
together, then you probably get a higher PPG than us anyway.
Yeah. For reference, we're currently looking at a category stat sheet. And I do believe Jeffrey plans on releasing it eventually, right?
Yes, at some to be
Yes.
determined time.
Yes, but currently it is exclusive to our podcast, and we'll talk more about category specific stats later on. But we're just referencing this for, just as talking points for now. The other interesting game, I think if playoffs were to happen right now, is Nero Loma versus Ames. What are the odds? What are the odds of the matchup? Do you think?
This is a matchup I want to give like 60-40, and the reason is because I feel like Ames is one of those teams where you can't really look at their regular season stats to like figure out how strong they are. Like they're a team that will give anyone in the playoffs a good run. Like I think they could even give NoHo a pretty good run because they're like disproportionately good at hard questions. I remember, I remember at SBST and at Lost, they made like really strong runs in the playoffs in the lower bracket, like after losing.
Yeah. So I know that Nay is very good at camp, as a lot of people know. Especially that late round Orgo, he's very solid at that. I think he has Klein down like really solid, and he's getting Clayton down as well. But then you also have he's also very good at math. He's not like one of those comp math people that you would expect to like blaze you at like FTW, but he definitely knows his stuff as well. I don't know much about their physics or physics, bio, or ESS.
Yeah, according to their stats, their physics is very strong. Or Nay is very strong at
physics. Really strong. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know much about Rishabh and Jacob's like actual playing ability. Yeah, so I don't know much about Jacob and Rishabh, but I do know that both of them are very respectable players for their respective subjects.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is the other important thing that I feel like we shouldn't discount is the energy, because energy is still like 12 points, including like another 30 points, I guess. And for like Mira Loma versus Ames, I would honestly give it to Mira Loma just because of especially Rohan's like trivia knowledge of science. I feel like really helps him with the energy questions.
Yeah, energy is just one of those categories where it's like they can ask a lot of things that they can't really get away with asking a lot of other subjects. Like especially trivia, like you're talking about, and in like a close competitive match like that, I think like those 3 energy questions could really be like what gives Mira Loma the advantage.
Yeah. And the other thing I think is important to realize is that a lot of the energy is written by Chen and Sean, and that tends towards ESS and bio as well. And guess what? That's what Rohan Shulky's main subjects are. So I feel like for that matchup, that really favors towards Mira Loma.
Yeah, especially when you consider Rohan's like one of the top PPT scorers for ES. He really has a strong lockdown in the category.
And then like what else is there? So I guess we're gonna talk about Dulles versus NoHo. I honestly don't. I feel like Dulles doesn't have that good of a chance against NoHo. Bio is pretty much like, I would say Bio is like a 4-0 for NoHo. ESS, I feel like ESS Naveen could get like maybe 3, maybe 4, to be honest. Chem, I would put it at like a 3-1 NoHo. I don't know about math because Albert's pretty good at math, but like Naveen is also very cracked at math. What other subjects are there? What am I missing? Physics?
Physics.
Uh,
Yeah,
Albert is also really OP at physics.
it's kind of silly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for like that matchup, I would have NoHo winning pretty easily.
Yeah, especially when you consider they've already played and NoHo's beat him 96-44. And I also feel like Dolus hasn't really beaten many like strong teams. Like they've lost
Yeah.
against Middleton, they lost against us, Geo High School, and then they lost against NoHo. And all the other teams, I mean, I guess the next strongest team they've beaten would be Langley, but like Langley isn't really like a top tier team. They're not really in playoff contention at this point. Um,
Yeah.
so
But that actually brings up an interesting point though, because I feel like Langley would be a playoff team if their star player Ben would actually show up to like their matches. Because I think he hasn't showed up to 2.5 matches or maybe 3 matches at this point, which I think has really hurt their team.
yeah, even if they just won like 2 more games, then all of a sudden their points are right next to Interlake and Middleton, and
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like Ben has missed 1.5 games, and Ben is currently 6th place for scoring, which in those 1.5 games, I would imagine that would have been very important, like for their placement. If I remember, they lost both games. And just as a first-hand account, one of those half games was against Middleton, and they probably would have won if Ben was there because they did start making comebacks at the second half when Ben showed up.
it's really interesting how a lot of these teams, like I feel like Mira Loma is one of the few teams in the field that's actually like a team where like you have different people are like covering different subjects. A lot of these other teams
Yeah.
are just like one person, maybe 2 people. Like
Yeah. I remember this was a while ago. This was maybe around 6 when I calculated it. But I do remember Eastside had the best duo though. Eastside had the best duo, followed by Mira Loma. But that was also because Bill was 2nd place for PPG, or maybe 1st place for PPG back then, and Artharva was also very high at that point. I don't know. I haven't calculated it yet, but I remember Eastside also had a very good duo. I'm still gonna find it. I sent it to Sancho at some point.
yeah,
He has two accounts now. Fuck.
yeah, Tharva's a very respectable player. Seems very solid at math physics.
He also came out of kind of nowhere. I don't think a lot of people really knew about him before SBL.
Yeah.
One of the games I kind of want to talk about is Bo HS versus Eastside game, because surprisingly Bo actually upset Eastside, right? I don't remember the score, but
It was 78-56.
the thing I find really surprising about that game is that if for people who didn't know, Bill from Eastside actually played on Dameters, which was a team based around Amity High School, which is Bo HS. So I find it kind of funny that like after Bill leaves, they play like Eastside, and Bo beats them. And then obviously in the other tournaments that Bill played, he was still the top PPG by quite a bit. I remember Bill came onto the scene at Cookie Clicker Winter Tournament. For those who remember that tournament, Bill was the top scorer by like quite a big margin.
Yeah, I wasn't around for that tournament, so like I didn't like see firsthand how strong he was. But I know that he played on Barometers for SBST, and I remember we played against him in the first round of the playoffs, I think, and we won by like a pretty respectable margin. I remember like leading up to the game, we were really scared because they did really strong in the prelims before, and yeah, I think that Bill was definitely like their best player. But something to note about BOW is they do have an ISO person on Peter, I think.
Yeah.
So like, they have they have enough knowledge, I think, to pull off this kind of upset. But I was still really surprised when this happened because like, I mean, like Bill and Afar, they're so fast, right? And like they also know enough, like they know all the knowledge to like back it up and like do well on bonuses. So they must. I think what happened was they had like a really bad game. They probably like negged a few questions and they lost a few other questions. And that's really all you need to like lose a game. So.
Yeah, for sure. I remember. I don't know if I saw the score sheet, but I remember like I think Bill negged the first two toss-ups. I don't know that for a fact. I don't have it on me. But that's what I remember hearing at least. So.
Yeah, I could actually pull up that game right now.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, why are you doing that? There's one thing that like I've always said about Bill is just that like I've always put Bill as like the best regionals player I've ever seen. Like he's so fast and he knows every single subject like really solid. Like his recall time for like all the subjects is really quick. And also like the points where he buzzes, they're all like really really smart buzzes. But the trend that I see with Bill is that he kind of tapers off like when the questions get harder. And that's no knock of Bill's ability. I think he's still a very respectable player, like for chemistry and stuff. But like his other knowledge, I feel tapers off quite a bit once you reach that like kind of the nasty E level. So it'll be interesting to see in playoffs how well he does, depending on how much the difficulty ramps up in playoffs.
Yeah. Which of his subjects do you think scale best for playoffs?
I think his chemistry skill is the best for playoffs. He still is high honors, and he actually won ACOT a few weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. I don't know when he won ACOT, but he won ACOT, which was pretty impressive as well, because that was against some pretty good chem players. So, Bill is definitely one of the best chem players there is right now. But like, I feel like his bio kind of falls off. I don't know about Atharva's math and physics. I haven't seen him play like late round questions, or I actually haven't seen him play. Period. ESS, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I'm kind of just basing it off of Lost and SBST, because I remember that both those tournaments Eastside has, well, not Eastside, but Bameters had a really strong showing in the round robin, but then once double elimination hit, they couldn't like consistently contend for first place basically.
Yeah. Oh, I pulled up the game, and it appears that, yes, Bill did neg the first two questions, and Atharva also got two other negs, so Eastside actually combined for five -4s that game.
Yeah. And that's quite a big turnaround, because like even though it's just -20, you have to account for the fact that the other team may get the toss-up, and the other team may get the bonus, and then the prospective bonus points that you're also missing out on as well. So at the end of the day, that's a giant swing. Or how many points swing is that? It's like, Jeffrey, you're the math guy.
So like if you assume the maximum 18-point swing per question, then it would be 72, or it would be 90 points over 5. By top.
Oh, okay. Alright, speaking about 18-point swing, let's talk about the Middleton versus Faces game. It's a pretty iconic game at this point in SBL. And for those who don't know, it's one of the worst throws you can honestly imagine in like science school as a whole. Going to top of 20, do you remember what the score was?
Yeah, Middleton was up 80 to 28.
Okay, yeah, so the score was 80 to 28. Technically speaking, if we didn't do anything for the last 3 questions, we would have won the game, right? Because the most that they can get is 14 times 3. That's 42. 42 plus 28 is 70. Yeah, so we basically had the game clinched at that point. And then what happened was that the first question, toss-up 20, was a math question, and Kappa negged it because he buzzed before the answer choices were read. And then the other team converted that question, and they converted that bonus. So that was an 18-point swing right there. And then that leads us to what's the score going to toss-up 21?
76 to 42.
So again, it's 76 to 42, and then toss-up 22 is a chemistry question, and Sanjay buzzed at a super early point because he buzzed with Augur, but the question was like identify all the following kind of question. So he got it wrong, which is pretty feels bad, but it happens. And the score after that point was what was it?
72 to 56.
Okay, 72 to 56. So even if we just didn't buzz the last question, we still would have won this game because it was more than a 14-point margin. right?
Mhm.
But then, okay, and then the last toss-up comes, right? It's a biology question, and the question was biology short answer. Alex just receives a critical injury to a substantia nigra and thus experiences a lack of dopamine, which is the point where I buzzed because this is like a kind of like clue in Quizbowl that I hear a lot. So at that point I was like, oh, this sounds like something cluing on dopamine, which is what I was gonna buzz. Okay, but to preface this, I didn't want to play this game, and I really didn't want to come. So I spent the whole game like listening to music and not really doing much, and I only scored 4 points before this. So I buzzed at that point, and I wanted to turn off my music because like you need to unmute yourself. So that's what I went to do, but that took a lot longer than I expected, and I got called for a stall. So I got negged for that question, which is like that's fair enough. But the best thing is they converted that question, and then they converted the bonus as well. And then so just like that, we ended up losing by 2 points. What was the final score?
So final score is 68-70.
Yeah. So I don't really want to take the crown, but like that's probably like the worst throw that's ever happened in science school. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that's like considered the worst throw like ever.
Yeah, I don't know how you get worse than that. I mean,
yeah, it's oh man. I'm pretty sure I ended that game with 0 points. Just let me quickly check. So that was round 6, right?
yeah, round 6, game 8.
Okay, round 6, I had 0 points. Yep, that was my worst game I've had. Oh man, that and I feel kind of bad because Sanjay had a 16-point game that game, and then Kappa had 12 points. So like they were playing like kind of around where they usually play, but then I was just not in it. And I also remember like Sanjay DM'd me like telling me not to buzz on the last question, just because we had the game like clinched. But I was confused because I thought it was toss up 22 and I didn't know the score, and I was like, oh, I know this question. Yeah, that was an interesting game, to say the least.
Yeah, this reminds me of a anti-throat actually we had. We were playing uni high school and lost, and so we got question 22 right, and that pulled us up to a 16-point margin. And then the last question was biology, and my teammate Judson, he made sure to not interrupt the question. So they actually converted the toss and bonus, which meant we won by 2 points. So.
Oh man, that's smart. If you were actually focusing on the game, you'd be able to think about that. But I was not focusing enough. Very sad. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about for this kind of segment-ish is Blazers versus Lexington. Who do you have winning?
Ooh, Blazers v Lex. I feel like these are two. I mean, the thing is, I don't really know how good the rest of Blazers is besides Chris, but I know Chris is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Caleb's also under. Oh, Caleb seems to be very strong at bio. And then Chris obviously knows a lot of chem, and apparently he's pretty solid at ES as well. Gideon is one of those players where he has the potential. He knows enough to do like every subject, like especially ES, math, and physics. But I think the problem is he's very inconsistent. A lot of times he'll buzz way too early, or a lot of times he'll think he knows it, but then in reality it's like he's just wrong. It's one of those games where I could see where I want to say I think Blazers is favored simply because I feel like they're more consistent. But definitely don't discount Lexington.
Yeah. In the matchup, do you think Gideon or Chris wins the chem?
I think Gideon wins the chem, simply because I mean Gideon's just been insane this tournament at chemistry. I feel like maybe it's the style of the questions written. Maybe Gideon's just that good of a chem player, but I don't see any reason for that to stop in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, what's crazy too
Yeah.
is he only has one chemistry neg too. So like when he buzzes chemistry, he's pretty confident.
Yeah.
But he has 7 eggs total, so I mean a lot of other subjects he's negging.
Mhm. Yeah, the Lexington versus Blazers game is pretty interesting, I would say. And obviously since it's like the fourth versus the fourth versus fifth seed, it's obviously the one that should be the closest. But I'm not sure who I would think is the favorite. I don't know much about Lexington apart from Gideon, and they have Kevin, which is good at math. I think I don't know. I just know he's on AOPS a lot, right? Isn't he Kevin Math or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So those AOPS kids are pretty good at math, I think. But Gideon is also like pretty good at math as well. So so is Sitong, and but both of them are very respectable players in a lot of subjects. It's not like they're like just strictly specialists. They're like pretty good at most of the subjects. They at least can hold their weight in most regional, like against most regional teams, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Alright. So going off of that, let's quickly show some love towards the standard teams. Let's talk about so let's look at like Walton and Centennial. How well do you think they would do in competitive?
I think they would. I think Walton and Centennial. I mean, personally, I've played against Anurag, like Centennial's lead scorer, and obviously Walton is like placed ahead of Centennial. So they're probably at least of equal strength, if not stronger. I think they would probably be. They would probably float around like the 10, 11, 12 seed. That's just kind of yeah, like no knock on them, but I mean the competitive division is just really, really stacked. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like Nats was like this set of teams plus Doherty Valley. We have all the strong teams represented here, so yeah, I don't think they would make playoffs, but I think they would probably do pretty well in it.
Yeah, okay. Because like Walton has like what's his name, Shinmei, whatever, and he's pretty cracked at bio, I've heard.
And they also have Josh Engelson, I think. So, and I think he's pretty good at whatever subjects he does.
Yeah, but the other thing to like realize as well is that these teams are playing against like a lower skill level for standard, and it might not scale as well into competitive as like we would think, or it could scale better in competitive, for all we know, because of, like not scale better, but like maybe so I still don't know how good Chime is, but I've heard a lot about him, and like the general consensus is that he knows a lot of bio, but he just isn't like super fast, which I think is detrimental in competitive because like you need to be quick as well as knowing a lot, but I think it can help them a lot, like going into a more competitive like playing level, because like the knowledge I still think is pretty important at the end of the day, more than the speed, because you can have like really fast players, right? But if you don't know enough about like just like the canon, it's gonna be very difficult to actually do well in competitive.
Yeah, for sure. But then
but also I
was also just gonna add that I think like even if you're not that fast, if you know a lot of like biology, that can help you a lot on bonuses, and like bonus conversion can really win you games.
For sure. But also like from what I've heard in standard is that there's not that much interrupting, or at least from what I've heard from Hansen on Middleton B, like there's not as many negs as you would expect in competitive, which makes sense since like the vast majority of questions in competitive are being buzzed before the question finishes. So it would be a kind of a transition going from that kind of playstyle towards like what competitive is like. But it doesn't take away from the fact that both Walton and Centennial are like separating themselves from like the rest of the teams as like teams that we think could do decently in competitive, or at least hold their own weight in the competitive division.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I guess the other two teams that I could see doing well would be Westview and Blazers B.
Blazers. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they kind of separated themselves from the fifth seed by by about 400 points, which is quite a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting that Westview also doesn't have Kobe because he's, helping run SBL. So I think if they did have Kobe, they would definitely be a strong team and competitive.
I think if they had Kobe, they would be around in the same tier as like the race for 8th place right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just looking at the standings, I feel like so there's obviously a 400-point jumping standard between Westview A and Timberline 1. Like it goes 1800 to around 1400. Looking at competitive, there's not as big of a jump, but there's a jump between like the 10th seed and the 11th seed by around 300 points. So it's also a little bit of a separation.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Speaking of standard teams, we would once again thank you for tuning into the Kiss MM podcast, and we would like to say that this podcast is brought to you by MOSFET. So for the standard teams, are you guys tired of playing as mass level teams? Well, look no further and join MOSFET, the premier science school tournament for regional level teams who are starting to get onto the online scene. Use code KISS_MM at checkout. That's KISS_MM at checkout to get an additional $10 off of it in order. Realistically, just email me, and if you actually want a $10 discount for listening to this, I'll give it to you.
What's your email for those in the audience who don't know?
In order to apply the discount, please email me at david@mosfet.science. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Cue music. I don't fucking know how podcasts work. Whatever. Welcome back, guys. And Jeffrey over here has actually created a program to take all the stats for every single game that we've had so far and figure out everyone's category stats. So in this segment, we're gonna be talking about the category stats, the leaders in them, and our thoughts about the category stats in general.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're just gonna talk about some category stats. Kind of look at like which players are the best at each subject. So I think first I want to look at biology, and biology, at number one we have Albert Zhang. I think this is a surprise to absolutely no one because anyone who's ever played against Albert Zhang knows he really knows his stuff. He's getting an average of 3 toss-ups right out of 4 per game. He's IBO gold, 2-time IBO, I think. Like, he has all the credentials to prove it too. So some of the stats that are kind of interesting is you can look at their buzz percentage, like what percentage toss-ups he's buzzing on, and we can see actually that he's buzzing on like 77% of all bio toss-ups, right? So that not only means that he knows his stuff, but also he's buzzing really fast. Like he's buzzing more than half the time, which means usually he's beating the other person at the toss-up. That's like a really scary combination of like knowledge and speed. Another thing is he like rarely never negs. He only has like 1 -4 the entire tournament and another just incorrect run, which is just insane considering how much he buzzes. Yeah, like if you look at it next to you, you have Andrew VD. I think he's a player on Pirates. Yeah, player. Yeah, so he's very, very good at biology as well. Clarence from Interlake, and number 4 we have our very own David Jang, tied for third.
I'm tied for
third. But yeah, and then Bill, Caleb, Rohan. Rohan, I'm actually a little surprised that he's this low, but I guess it makes sense because, like, I mean, Miraloma, I think they have they have some subject overlap too. So like instead of like Albert Zhang, he doesn't have to compete with anyone on his team for bio, whereas I think Rohan, he like splits some questions. I'm not entirely sure. But Rohan is a very, very strong bio player. Definitely not someone to be like to ignore. Yeah, and then Kevin, Ayusha, Rashab, someone else I would expect up here. I am at number 18, which is kind of surprising, but also not that good. If you look at the PPG, it's like 2.5, which means I'm like getting an average of like one toss up, a little bit less than one toss up every game. So.
Yeah, but considering your performance in the other subjects, that's pretty.
Yeah, this biology is not a subject that like study very much or do, because on my normal team I would have my teammates that do biology for me, and they're very good at it. So there's really no like need for me to study it. But in SBL it's just me. So.
Yeah. How well do you think Judson would do if he was playing?
Like with me or just by himself?
With you.
I think we would be a lot stronger. Not to say we aren't strong already, but like Judson, the thing about Judson, I think that we complement each other pretty well because like he basically fills in all of the holes that I have. Like, cause obviously his biology, he's also an ideal goal. So like he could really compete with anyone. Like at biology, especially even Albert. And
yeah.
He's also an ESS camper. Like, I mean, he claims he doesn't know that much ESS, but like he definitely knows more than me. Especially in earth science. So like he can help there. And then another thing is he's studied organic chemistry, and I think he took ChemWoot, so he would know more like organic chemistry than me, which is definitely by far like the weakest part of chemistry for me. Like I barely know any organic chemistry. Yeah. So let's move on to chemistry now. So the top few scores for chemistry is we have number one. So I should mention for biology, Albert Zhang was getting like 11 points per game, and then second person was 8. So this kind of shows like how dominant.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah.
And then so for chemistry, very similar dominance here. We have Gideon at 11.6 points per game for chemistry, and then the next highest would be Vishwa from Miraloma, who has 8 points per game. So yeah, Gideon, like I mean, even though he's only quote unquote U5 honors, like he knows a lot more than your average U5 honors person.
Yeah, but I think it's important to note that he also got a 4 on the AP test. You know, this needs to be brought up every single time.
Yeah, we should maybe we should take these numbers with a grain of salt, you know. But yeah, but yeah, it's safe to say that he at least he knows his stuff for SBL. Maybe not for his other standardized tests.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't a big enough. It's just not a big surprise. Gideon's obviously one that's pretty active in the science community, and everyone knows him as a very strong chem player, especially a very fast and very accurate chem player who just knows a lot of knowledge. And he's just like, in terms of science bowl, he's very well rounded in terms of like his ability to perform.
Yeah, for sure. And he also has just one neg on chemistry, or -1 -4. But interesting is like a lot of X1s, a lot of I mean that would be like buzzes after the question's been read and getting it wrong. I mean this is a trend you kind of see in a lot of other players. So maybe it's just not exclusive to him. But yeah, it does impress me how accurate he is with chemistry as well. Especially given his accuracy in other subjects is a little bit questionable. Yeah, so like the next few scores were like Vishwa at 8 points per game, Allure, Bill, and Nay all tied at 7, Chris Tong at 6.9, and then Jeffrey's that's me, so that's 5.8, and David at 5.4, and Naveen at 5.2. Those are the top 9 scores for chem. And I'd say like this is a very, especially the top 6 players, like definitely know their stuff. They're definitely really, really strong at chem. It's gonna be really interesting to like watch these players go at each other at chem in the playoffs. Simply because they're like a lot of their points are probably against weaker teams, so it'll be interesting to see like what happens when they play. Like,
especially for chem, chem has been one of those subjects where like I feel like there's an overrepresentation of chem mains on the in the science school community, at least the Discord community. I'm not entirely sure why this is, but I just feel like when you think of like the people who are like always there, I always think of them as like chem players. Oh wait, the one thing I can think of is that I feel like the science school server and the chem Olympiad server is the most connected server out of all the Olympiad servers. Oh, which may contribute to why like we see such an abundance of chem mains.
And I think the other thing is that chemistry is like I know I was talking to some people about this before, but I think chemistry is just one of the subjects that's the best suited for the science school format. Like because like a lot of chemistry questions are like a lot of biology is just like recall, like you know the term, right? You know the name, which works pretty well for science school actually. But chemistry is nice because not only you can have this kind of you have enough of those kinds of questions, like what is the name of this effect, but you also have a lot of like conceptual questions that where if you know your stuff, you can do it pretty quickly, and like you don't have like it's not really chemistry isn't really like based around calculations. Um, which is like nice, especially compared to a subject like physics, where like if you try to learn like a lot of like real physics or Olympiad physics, like you have to be really good at calculations. But in science school, that just doesn't work as well because of the time constraint. So what ends up happening is you either have like really simple calculations, or I mean, you have to like do terminology, but then you have to learn terminology that like you wouldn't really learn in school, or you wouldn't really learn like um, in your like traditional USAFO prep, which is why I think chemistry is like really strongly represented.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Oh, I'm better than Kappa. Get fucked, Kappa.
yeah, isn't he? Kappa's a chem camper, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Uh,
But I think his sample size is just too small right now.
yeah, like he's only showed up to. I mean, it says 9 in here, but I think he's only showed up. He probably hasn't showed up to 9 games, right?
No, definitely not 9. I think he's maybe showed up to like 4, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Alright, what's next?
Energy. Energy's interesting. Um,
Yeah, it actually is a pretty interesting one. I feel like it favors generalists for sure. Particularly bio, chem, and like well bio, comma chem and ESS right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like all the top scores are pretty much generalists. Some interesting placements are, like, let me see. Let me just check. I think Daniel's son, me and Daniel's son drop a lot in the energy rankings. I think it's because we're two like very neg prone players. And energy is a place where you can get like a lot of negs, a lot of -4s. Anything else you see interesting in the energy stats?
Well, I don't think we mentioned, but Naveen is currently first for energy, and then we have Bill, and then Albert, and then Chris Pong. Naveen being first doesn't really surprise me. Bill being second doesn't really surprise me as well. Albert being third doesn't really surprise me as well. I'm actually surprised that Rohan isn't higher, because I thought this would be a lot more up his alley, since he's bio, he's ESS, and then he's also like modern physics, like physics trivia. I kind of thought like energy would be like a lot more up his alley, but he's currently 6th place, which it's still respectable, but it's just a little bit less than what I expected.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think that might also have to do with the fact that, I mean, his rest, like, I know, Vishwa knows a lot of, chem and physics as well. So I think this might just have to do with the fact that if he was playing by himself, he'd probably have a higher PPG in energy. Yeah. Anthony, wow, that's a bit, I'm impressed by Anthony's, energy performance. I think next is ESS. So, alright, you want to talk about the top ESS scores? Yeah, sure. Okay, so the next is ESS, and the top few scores are Naveen number 1, no real surprise. Rohan number 2, no real surprise. Bill number 3, no real surprise there either, except he does have 5 -4s, which is a bit interesting. Given that he has an ESS main, I would expect his accuracy to be a little bit higher. But I mean, 6.5 points per game, that's still really strong, right? I'm not gonna really knock him for that. Jacob at number 4, he's ESS player for Ames. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising, in my opinion, because unlike the other 3 other people, like, not a lot of people know about Jacob. I would say he's not as popular as like Bill, Rohan, and Navi in the community. So it's pretty cool to see Jacob up here. But the other thing is, I also want to say is that both Bill and Jacob are ESS writers for MOSFET. So good representation.
Yeah, you guys should sign up for MOSFET. It'll be really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just wait until you see math and physics and where our writers place for that.
Yeah, so then we have Ben. So once again, I mean, his 5.8 points per game is more impressive considering the fact that he doesn't show up to half his games.
He also has no negs too.
Ion.
Wait, wait. Is this sheets? It's not equation based. Okay, so Ben's only been to like 9.5 games, so 16.
That would make his points per game 6.67, which would be 3rd. Yeah.
Oh damn.
So.
Alright, and then Xion is the NoHo player, right?
Oh, okay, that's where I heard his name.
Yeah, I think he's a NoHo player.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and then Peter, Mason. So that's the kind of ESS support that honestly, that's the kind of ESS support I need, So,
yeah. Did Naveen do US ESO?
I don't know actually.
But I'm also not really sure how well US ESO translates to Science Bowl, but like at the very least I know that there's Yuchen, and Yuchen is like absolutely cracked.
Yeah, at both.
Yeah, and everyone knows Yuchen as the IESO gold. It's kind of just what he's synonymous with at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the thing about US ESO though is that it doesn't really teach you much. You don't really need to know much Astro besides like planetary, I think. So that's just something to watch out for.
There's one thing I kind of want to talk about for the other subjects as well, but like this subject specifically. How well do you think Yuchen would do if like this was like a DOE or something?
Like relative to this field?
Do you think you? Yeah.
I think Yuchen. I think the subjects he's the strongest in would be ESS obviously, and then chemistry. I think for ESS he would definitely be like, I think he's probably one of the top 4 scorers. And yeah, it's hard to predict because of these, like they're all so good. But and then for chemistry, man, chemistry is so stacked. I would say he's like a top 10 player probably. Like no knock on his chemistry abilities, but like the chemistry field is just like absolutely like insane.
Where do you think Writing's vault would be for chemistry?
Writings. Oh, he would. I mean, like Writings is one of the like fastest like players ever. I think he's.
Do you think he would beat Gideon? Do you think he beats Gideon?
Ooh, probably. Maybe. I mean.
Based on like chem speed checks in like the server, like while packaging, like I feel like Writings is better than Gideon.
Yeah, I feel like he probably does take the #1 PPT for chemistry. Because I mean, he's also a chem camper, right? He knows a lot of chemistry, obviously.
What about Sean for bio?
Sean, he's probably like right next to Albert. I don't really see how you distinguish the two.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because like Albert doesn't play as many packets, so it's kind of a smaller sample size in terms of like spectating. like being able to spectate the matches, but like based on Sean when he's packaging, like Sean is so quick on the bio, it's actually insane.
Yeah, I think Sean might actually get a higher PPG, just because like he would probably get more bio against. I mean, I think Albert's already getting almost all the bio. He actually is almost getting all the bio, but I think Sean might actually be getting more bio against other teams. But I think in the head-to-head, I remember the two played each other in the finals for the MIT Science Bowl Invitational, and I watched that game live, and I think Albert
Wait, no, that wasn't the finals. I don't think, right? Wait,
was. I thought it was the
wait,
final.
was the finals Noho versus Lex?
I thought it was.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
was, wasn't it?
Noah v Lex.
Oh okay, yeah, it was right,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think Albert he got at least two bio, like two or yeah, I think he got two or three bio against Sean. Um, yeah, because I mean Albert like he isn't like Albert's a pretty fast player. I think Sean is a faster buzzer overall, but Albert also he's more confident in like his knowledge. And he buzzes at like a pretty optimal spot. He doesn't always win like the buzzer race, but he always buzzes at the right spot. Um,
Yeah, I feel like Sean and Gideon both have like they're like they're really good at Science Bowl in the sense that like they play so much and they write so many questions that I feel like they kind of just predict the questions, and it's like they try buzzing like before the optimal spot, which sometimes backfires and sometimes like is good for them.
yeah.
Especially Gideon. Like there's so many times where like Gideon and APC, like after they do some like stupid buzz on some chemistry question, they spend like the next like 2 minutes like trying to justify their buzz.
Yeah, and it's like there's so many directions you can take a question. Math. So, oh, so the top math scorers apparently are me at number 1 at 9.8 PPG, and then we have Naveen, Matthew from Flush, which is Wizada, Albert at number 4, Mason from.
Wait, what school is Mason from?
I'm not sure.
That's not Geo HS, right?
No, that's
okay.
that'd be Mason Lyon.
Let me search it up. Oh, he's from Pirates.
Pirates. Okay. Yeah, and I each changed. I think something really interesting to note is a lot of players you'd expect to be strong at math. Like for example, Daniel, he only has 4 points per game. Daniel's son, like Sanjay, he only has 3 points per game. I think Nay only has like 1.5 points per game. Yeah. Chris Tong only has like 2. Yeah, I think like a lot of these players, I don't know if they're like underperforming or maybe like the -4s are really hurting them, but it's just really interesting to see how like they haven't really like lived up to like expectations. I feel like.
I think for the case of Nay, and I brought this up earlier, but I think for Nay is that I've never seen him as like one of those like countdown players. He's a lot more of like, you know, he just knows his shit rather than like he's gonna outbuzz you at like, you know, those like number theory questions or whatever, especially like a lot of those like AOPS kids are.
Yeah.
So I feel like once in playoffs he's gonna start like amping it up for math.
Mm-hmm.
But he does also have 4 nags for math.
Yeah, that's really hurting him. Like Allure too. I think he's a pretty strong math player, but he has 6 negs. Like that's not gonna bode well for PPG.
How well do you think Kobe would do?
I think Kobe would probably be around. Ooh.
Personally I think 3rd, maybe 6th. Not yeah, 3rd to 6th is what I would say.
3rd to 6th. I think that's a pretty accurate margin. I think it would depend a lot on like how much he negs though, but I don't think he negs that much.
But I mean, also basing it off of that one time you guys played FTW, like Kobe kind of better than you.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm not actually that. I feel like I'm actually that good at like that fast and like. I mean, I think Kobe made the point. I kind of agree with this. Is that like a lot of FCWs you have to be able to read the question really quickly, whereas in Science Bowl that's not a problem because everyone's just hearing the question at the same time.
One thing to note is that your buzz percent is really high.
Yeah.
Which makes sense since you're the sole math player on your team and like no one else really competes with that. But that also need to take into account like other teams' math players.
Yeah. Oh, if you want to talk about buzz percentage, Gideon is 95% buzz percentage.
On what? Wait, on
Chemistry.
math?
So
Oh, really?
yeah, he's like.
Holy shit. Oh my god. Wait, Gideon's cracked.
Look, if there's a chemistry question, well, we just better hope Gideon gets it wrong, because otherwise,
Yeah.
ooh, yeah.
Wait, the other interesting thing about buzz, just to make sure, buzz percentage, what exactly is buzz percentage?
It's the percentage of toss-ups heard that the player buzzes on, like at any point.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that the other
Yeah.
team buzzed first and then Gideon buzzed after.
Mhm. This is also kind of expected, but like, look at energy's buzz percentages though. It's kind of, it's what you would expect, but like it's so low. And then there's Jeffrey with the only person above, technically, like at 50.
Yeah, but I also have 5 negs, so I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of expected for energy since it's much more of a grab bag and it's not like a consistent subject you can like consistently buzz on, but you know, it's just like kind of a cool stat.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right, let's go on to the next subject.
So the last subject is physics, and the top few scores again are I'm at 8 points per game, number 1, and then number 2 is Naveen at 6.4, and then we have Nay at third with 6.18, are tied with Albert, also 6.18, then Stephen J at 6, Farv at 5, Vishwa at 5, and Daniel Sun at 5, and Sanjay at 4.7, and that's the top 9. I feel like
It's actually kind of interesting that the math and physics share the same top 2 people.
yeah, that is very interesting. So, kind of supports the idea that like, I feel like a lot of physics mains are math mains, and yeah, because the subjects are just very like interlinked. But it is very interesting. I feel like math relative to the other subjects, like I think the math and physics players in this field are probably a bit weaker, but the field just doesn't feel as strong.
The other thing you look at is like PPG wise, like they're not as dominant, but that could also just be due to question difficulty though.
That's true.
Yeah, but the other important thing to notice is that Daniel's son actually has the second most toss-ups converted for physics, but he's only 8th place for PPG because he has 5 negs.
Yeah, the negs will like really hurt you in PPG. That's something I've noticed.
Wait. The other important thing to notice is that Stephen J has only played 2 games.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's not a very strong sample size.
Yeah, he's only played 2 games and he converted 3 toss-ups in those games, so that means that he has a 6 PPG for physics. So take that with what you will.
Yeah. For sure.
Who's a physics writer? I have no
I
idea.
think
It's Kobe. It's Kobe now, but like
Derek, right? Derek writes physics.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Derek to actually accurately say where he would be.
I mean, I know he won that twice, right?
Twice, yeah.
What school did he go to? Lexington. Okay. Yeah, no surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect him to if he played in this field, I think he would be really strong. He would probably be like 1 or 2 in my opinion. I don't know, just based off the fact that he won that twice. Like, I don't really know much else about him. But
I think it also depends if you're saying like him in high school or like him now, because I don't think him now would be 1 or 2. But
yeah, but him in high school.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. It would be interesting to like see like an alumni game.
How well do you think Albert Liu would do?
Ooh. Wait, what subjects does he do?
Basically everything.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know he was really good. I mean, I would expect probably like top 3 for like most subjects. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised Prime Albert would be first PPG wise. Who's first PPG right now?
Naveen.
Yeah. Naveen. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Albert. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on his team as well. But if he was playing with like Tom, like the other person from NoHo, like alumni from NoHo, I think he could be top. like maybe number 1, number 2 for PPG.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Who else is there? Oh, there's a little Josh Park. I don't know enough about Josh Park playing though. So.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of alumni.
Yeah. The other interesting thing I think is that I believe math has the most negs at 56, but I don't know if I did the calculation correctly. But I also think that does make sense though. Because math is one of those things where a lot of people are buzzing super early, and like you kind of guess what the question's going at, more so than other subjects.
And also, it's just a lot easier to like miss something like oh, I forgot to check for like extraneous solutions, or oh, I forgot to check this case, or you know.
Yeah. Second most is physics, which I guess like it's kind of the same, more or less the same thing as what's it called? As math. I imagine. I'm not sure.
And that might be why like the points per game are kind of like dragged down for math and physics.
Oh yeah, that's true. Do you think? Oh wait. Do you want to talk about who has the most negs right now?
Oh yeah. We should definitely talk about that.
Alright, let's go to all and sort. Alright.
So, so right now, there are quite a few players that have more than 10 or more negs, and here, how about we start from let's start from number 7. Alright, let's go from reverse order. More exciting. Okay, so tied for 6th place with 10 negs is Lauren Sanjay. I'm actually a little surprised by Sanjay. I would expect him to have more.
I would also expect him to have more.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have Chris Tong at 5. And then we have 11 negs. So it's a little bit surprising. He doesn't really seem like the kind of player that would neg a lot. But Yash is at 4, 13. I'm at 3rd with 15. I think these two are not a big surprise. Bill is at 2nd with 16. And then Daniel has Daniel Sun from Interlake with the current neg prize with 18 negs.
Okay. And then the other thing is that if you're just basing it off of toss-ups, the only person to have more than 100 toss-ups converted right now is Bill, which is pretty impressive. Okay, so the only person to have more than 100 toss-ups converted right now is Bill, which is pretty impressive, I would say. But there's like 3 people, well, 3 maybe 4 people who will definitely who will probably have more than 100 by the end of the regular season.
Yeah. And that would be me, Naveen, Albert. We're sitting at 97, 96, and 95.
Do you think Gideon's gonna hit 100 too? That's 17 toss-ups. How many toss-ups is the average per game?
The average is about 8, and you need like 5 per game. So yeah, I think it's reasonable.
He'll probably get 100 toss-ups too.
I don't really see anyone else getting there, just based on their current rate.
Yeah. Let's look at the volume of buzzes. Okay, so Jeffrey is currently leading in terms of just the amount of times that they buzz at 153. But I think an important thing to realize about this statistic is that not all the mods always put zeros after someone buzzes, so it's not like an exact science, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's more or less kind of what you expect, though. How many times have I buzzed? Only 59, damn.
Yeah, you're pretty accurate apparently. You get it right 76% of the time you buzz.
Yeah, that's because I leave all the guessing to Sanjay.
Yeah. You're one of the most accurate players in the tournament. So, pretty impressive.
Who's the most accurate? Vishwa is the most accurate for like the volume of buzzes that he has. Holy shit, dude! What is Vishwa on?
I don't know.
What the fuck? Wait, Vishwa's actually cracked.
So 96%.
He has 96% correct rate on like like 49 buzzes. Damn. Second highest is me, which is kind of also pretty surprising. Well, like second highest for in terms of like a high volume.
Yeah. Then Albert Naveen.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is pretty surprising that Albert and Naveen, but I think that speaks more towards like just how good they are, more than like how much they buzz. Because I feel like they're definitely not guessing a lot. Because if you look at like someone like Sanjay, the reason why his percentage is so low, it just goes up how much he guesses.
Yeah, 43%.
Like Albert and Naveen just know their shit. Yikes. Yikes, Sanjay.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we should wrap up the.
That's more or less the highlights of the category stats that I think are important.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably all we're gonna talk about for this podcast. So, you know, just to close it up, you know, be sure to check out our sponsor, MOSFET, at mosfet.science to find out more information, or DM one of the mods for more information if you're interested, or email David at mosfet.science, and use code /KISS_MM/ for $10 discount at purchase at checkout. Very cool. All right, is that good?
I think so.